Hello students, I hope everyone is well. I want to spend the first video providing an introduction to August Wilson's fantastic, brilliant play, Fences. I hope you had a chance to read this great text in the past 2 weeks. Um, my talk will help you not only to understand the content of the play, but to make sense of August Wilson's message. Also, my talk, I hope my talk will help you in your research paper, your major research paper, which I'm going to talk about in the second video when I explore different themes and concepts in August Wilson's Fences. Okay. In this short video, I'm going to talk about August Wilson's life. Then I'm going to move on to talk about his work and the play itself. All right, let's begin. So, August Wilson's play Fences were open in Broadway on March 26, 1987. He ran for about 525 performances. That was a remarkable turnout for a drama, especially for a work by an African American writer. The play was praised by the nation's most prominent newspapers, such as the New York Times, the New York Post, and Fences won the Pulitzer Prize for drama, one of the highest prize for fiction, for literature. It also won the Drama Desk Award for Best New Play, the New York Drama Critics Circle Best Play, and the Tony Award Best Play. Who was August Wilson? August Wilson was born in 1945 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, into an impoverished family. He was raised in a two-room apartment. Like I said before, his family was very poor. August Wilson was a German man who abandoned his mother and his son. August Wilson's mother, I meant to say, and August Wilson when Wilson was very young. So Wilson grew up without a father figure or paternal figure in his life. His mother was single. Of course, when his mother got remarried, the family moved into a predominantly white neighborhood, and they experienced racism. Um, as you know, at that time, talking about 1950s, 40s, race relations in the United States were not great, but we've made some tremendous progress, some substantial change in race relations as a nation, as a people. August Wilson attended school in Pittsburgh, but he would stop at 15 years old because a teacher falsely accused him of plagiarizing a paper he was writing on Napoleon, the the leader of the French Empire for many years. Uh, but August Wilson had always have a passion for school, for reading. He became a voracious reader, and he would spend his time at his local library to study, to read about the world. Now, as a young man, he would develop a passion for the blues. In fact, uh, some of his plays have give a blues tendency, blues sensibility. Later on in his life, he dedicated himself to becoming a writer. Maybe well in his late teens. In 1970, he dropped the last name of his father and embraced the last name of his mother. Uh, Wilson, in 1978, when I was born, now you know my age, Wilson moved to St. Paul, Minnesota, where he was invited to write plays for a black theater founded by a man named Claude Purdue. Okay, his first significant play, I don't have a copy with me. It's called Jitney, a play that reveals promise and addresses broken promises. Now, in 1982, August Wilson will meet a great man, Lloyd Richards. Richard would offer Wilson, will give him the opportunity to work there at uh, Yale University. At Yale, Wilson would emerge to become one of the greatest playwrights the United States has ever produced. In fact, um, at Yale, his first play at Yale was May Rennie's Black Bottom, which enjoyed uh, various successes on Broadway. Uh, Again, that play was directed by Lloyd Richard. Um, it was first staged on October 11 in 1984. Now, August Wilson would write this play right here, Fences, 1987. This is the play really that got him very famous. Now, got him very famous. Of course, Wilson has written other plays, which I'm going to share with you. Gem of the Ocean, 77 guitars. Those of you who have an interest in art, those of you who have an interest in theater, you would find the work of August Wilson very important, very relevant to you. He also published the piano lessons. You see the music sensibility here. Two trends running in Radio Golf. Radio Golf. In fact, August Wilson won 2 Pulitzer Prizes and about 7 New York Drama Critics Circle Awards, 23 honorary degrees. That means honorary doctorate degrees. Uh, Wilson married, I think, 3 times and died of liver cancer in 2005. Now, Wilson has written a number of plays, 10 plays, what's called the Pittsburgh Cycle. Again, the cycle bears the name of the city where he was born. Now, in the 10 play cycle, let's see, three, I have 6 here, I'm missing 4. Um, oh, right here. Oops. I apologize. Now I'm missing 4 in the series. Um, so in the 10 play cycle, Wilson's goal is very clear. His attempt is to chronicle, to narrate the African American experience in the United States. And it started early. For example, in the Pittsburgh cycle, in the 1900, right? 1900, the one that I showed you here, Jam of the Ocean, which he published in 2003. So he tries to narrate African American lives in the 20th century, starting with his first one, 2003. Not his first play. I mean, the one that begins in 1900. And there's Joe Turner's Come and Gone. It's somewhere in my office, nowhere to be found, that it addresses issues that took place in 1910s or 1910s. And Mairani's Black Bottom, that's 1920s. 1920s, the time of the Harlem Renaissance. The Piano Lessons, 1930s, the very end of the Harlem Renaissance. Okay, Piano Lessons, right here. The Seven Guitars, 1940s, and then Fences, 1950s, Two Trains Running, which I already showed you, 1960s, 1970s, Jitney, 1980s, King Hedley, 2. In 1990s, he published the 10th one in the cycle, Radio Golf. Now, Wilson's plays have been influenced, or let me repeat that. Wilson as a playwright has been influenced by a number of circles. First by the blues music, African American music, and by his fellow playwright and poet Amari Baraka. He also mentioned the great Latin American writer George Louis Borges and painter Romare Burden. Now, let's move on to talk about Fences. I want to spend the time talking about each character in the play so you can make a sense of where they fit and the narrative. We have Troy Maxson. Troy, of course, who happens to be the protagonist in the story. He's a large man, he's a powerful man, His wife is named Rose. Rose. Again, Troy's name, there's a meaning in his name. Troy's first name suggests the legendary city of Troy from Homer's Iliad. That's classical Greek literature, Iliad. And Fences is about the fall of Troy Maxen. Okay? The fall of a great man. His surname, Maxen, Maxson, is actually an amalgamation of Mason, Mason, and Dixon, Dixon. So the Mason-Dixon line, which separated the slave states from the free states in the Union. Now, again, in the person of Troy, you find an interesting depiction of masculinity. What it means to be a man. What does it mean to be a father? What does it mean to be the head of the family? Again, Troy is such a like a he portrays himself as a mythological figure, in the sense that there's a scene in the play where he wrestles with death. So he draws on the Bible to recreate himself as a man of mythical and biblical proportions. He fights with death and overcomes death. Okay? That shows his power, his transcendent value as a man. Again, he's a man who's thirsty, who's longing after power, after, as the French would say, grandeur, and a sense of immortality. That means if you can fight death, you become victorious. That means he's become immortal. That means he cannot die. He wants to be admired by people around him. He wants people to love him. But he's also a man of high responsibility, a man of good work ethics. His values are grounded. These values are rooted in his sense of responsibility. He's responsible for his home. He works very hard. You know, he trains his sons. Although he makes some really bad mistakes as a man. He cheated on his wife, and he became drunk, was unable to control himself. Okay, but he's a man of responsibility. He's a hard worker. Okay, and again, you have to read the conversations between Troy and Corey to really understand his sense of manhood, his sense of responsibility, in the play. The next person I want to talk about is Rose. Rose is Troy's very committed, dedicated, loyal wife. She's committed to her family. She's committed to her church. She's a pious Christian. Now, again, she supports Joy. They've been married for over 18 years. She tries to get Joy to see life more more realistically, let's put it that way, more pragmatically. Okay, when Troy tries to achieve grandeur or tries to mythologize, I'm sorry, his past, she tries to correct him, to bring him to the right direction, right? Rose is a very understandable person. She's a faithful wife, right? But Troy has brought so many disappointments in the family. But Rose is able to endure. She cultivates the virtue of patience, the virtue of love, sacrificial love. Then she's trying to save the marriage. She does her best. She does her best to safeguard her relationship with with Troy. Again, one interesting thing in the play is that you find Rose internalizes her dreams, and she internalizes, in a sense, her what she wants to tell Troy. She lives a lonely life, right? Um, in fact, when Troy gets into a relationship with Renelle's mother, the mother dies in giving birth to Renelle. She takes her in. She treats her as her own daughter, the daughter she never has. Corey. Corey is the younger son, excuse me, of of Troy, which he has with Rose. Corey wants a father figure. He has dreams, he has goals, he has plans. He wants to play football, but the father wants to teach him responsibility, how to be a man. Troy misunderstands Corey's dreams, Corey's own interests. As a father, he wants to teach him, some work ethics, but he's undermining the interest of his son. So the two do not get along well. But again, after Corey graduates from high school, well, he's going to leave home. He's going to join the Marines. And the Marines, he has learned a great deal of responsibilities and where his values should lie. In fact, in the Marines, after 6 years, he has risen in rank to corporal. He not only at the end of the play, he forgives his father, but he's also able to move on in his life. What's interesting in this play is that is the way that Corey um, tries to escape his father's shadow. He had a hard time to forgive his father for his wrongdoings, for the way he mistreats him, for the way he mistreats his wife, Corey's mother. Again, Corey had a hard time to move on in life without the ghost of his father. The ghost of his father haunt him. To bring this to a close, I want to talk about fences, the idea of fences, the title of the play. And the title is very important. And this play, fences, bears different meanings. It alludes to different things in human relations, in social relations, also in our society. Again, Troy wanted to construct a fence in his backyard. He slowly builds it. He finishes that fence after Alberta's death. Alberta was the Roman he cheats with, the mother of Renelle. So fence, the first meaning of fence is that physical structure. But at the same time, fence also signifies Troy's gradual, progressive alienation from his family, his friends. Bono, remember Bono? Good friend. They went to jail together. In fact, they met in jail, his co-workers. And of course, his treatment of his sons, both of them, has led him to experience solitude and alienation from them. That's another way to interpret the idea of fence. But there's also baseball fences. As you know, he wanted to become a great baseball player. But because of racial barrier, because of his color, the color of his skin, he was not successful. So fence means racial barrier. Okay? The color barrier in baseball. Also, fence carries the notion of institutional restrictions, the way our society was racially structured, racially structured to undermine African Americans. Okay? So fence as a word has to do with the very construct of white America. The barriers and hardships imposed on African Americans are fences constructed by white Americans to keep blacks marginalized. Okay, let's end the talk for now. I hope you having a good day, and I'm going to do a second video in which I'm going to talk about the different themes, concepts, and ideas and fences which you will find very helpful for your research paper. See you later.